Well, it arrived, finally. I was so excited. I'm not so excited now. I was working next to these guys at Rothenberg Ventures. Gosh, almost 2 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long. And they're an amazing team, and they're doing some amazing work. And I got to see a demo of one of the really early prototypes. And I've so been looking forward to it because I think eye tracking in general and foveated rendering in particular are going to significantly advance VR right now. But this isn't the kit that I was hoping for. First of all, the tracking camera that came with it. Reminds me a bit of my Track IR by Natural Point. That's it. And there's only one. Their open VR integration isn't working yet. Originally the project was going to have its own tracking, and then they started talking about supporting lighthouses and then went back to their own tracking. And I think this is kind of back to the roots of the project, though I couldn't say for sure how much has changed. Yeah, that's the first thing that was kind of a bummer. Now, this is interesting. Yeah, you noticed had you fooled, huh? That's the shell. Because I wanted to see what was going on inside when I realized that there was no IPD adjustments, no relief adjustments. It's really hard on the face. There's a lot of discomfort. I took the pad strip out. There's a lot of discomfort in the headset, and I wanted to pull it open and see if there was like some hidden adjustments, like there's with the Vive, something that just wasn't so obvious. And there's not. It's a really solid little piece of hardware. You can see the IR LEDs all over it. So it's no lighthouse compatibility because those aren't sensors. You know, it's not that array. These emit IR for the little camera to see, so it does work a lot like the tracker, Wiimote, you know, other IR-based tracking solutions. Inside it's kind of interesting though. That's the HDMI. You can see how small that HDMI cable is. Funny thing, I was doing UHD 60 signal and encoding at Austin City Limits, or no, excuse me, Lollapalooza 2015, and I had to do a lot of testing because we've had major problems with getting cables to work with the Blackmagic equipment at that signal. And I found that the cheapest HDMI cables I had, the tiniest little ones like for my Pico projectors, silly ones, actually would sync and hold signal more reliably than some of the $100, $200 HDMI cables I was getting off of Amazon. Ultimately ended up going with a monoprice fiber-based cable. Really cool. Active connectors on either end. It's unidirectional. It's the only downside, but for what we did there, that didn't matter. Getting signal from the cameras down to our fiber converters below the stage. So at first I look at this and I'm like, wow, it looks like a cheesy little HDMI cable, but in my experience, these little ones actually seem to do really well. I don't know if it's because the guys that are looking to use less material are using better stuff, or if the guys that make the big ones just don't know what the hell they're doing and they overdo it to make it look more valuable or what. But yeah, anyway, so HDMI or USB 3, micro USB 3 inside there. The other end is a USB 3 connector. And then that one right there is the third cable in the bundle you see. There you go, it's crossing over. That's USB 2, and apparently they're just using it for power, which I guess kind of makes sense since there's no wireless, there's no like lighthouse trackers, nothing else in it. So they're borrowing power from the USB 2 and maybe using a little from the USB 3 also, but then they're doing signal over the USB 3, and I think it has everything to do with the eye trackers. The eye tracking units in here probably emit IR, and there's little cameras, so you need more power. You know, power for all those IR emitters, power for the IR that I imagine are in there, and then you got a lot of data moving really quickly. The other thing you might notice if you know enough about lenses to recognize this is these are Fresnel, or Fresnel. I never know how it's supposed to be pronounced. I've always pronounced it Fresnel. But they are, we'll say Fresnel lens. Make everybody happy. I'll go back and forth. They're not standard lenses, or, you know, I don't know what the term is for non-Fresnel lenses other than that. But they're really low profile as a result, and that's good because when this thing sits on my face, my eyelashes are already really close to those lenses, even, you know, with the padding strip on. They provide a second padding strip, and I think it's just a secondary. It's not a different one. It's not a different size or anything. This is the padding strip. It's not thick enough or firm enough by any means because all of this is so hard. There's no give. It's all solid. And so it feels like it was built against a wider face than mine. I'm not a big guy. I'm not overweight, but I'm not exactly scrawny either. I think I'm 170 pounds, 5'10". And I get some light leakage on the sides, which is no fun. I found out that if I put both of these strips in, like connect the one, set the other one in there, because of the Velcro, it kind of stays put. Doesn't stick exactly, but it won't slide. And if I put it on like that, with both of them in, I get no light leakage, and it's a lot more comfortable. So we definitely got to get some aftermarket pads going to make this a better experience over time. The straps are pretty cool. They did a nice combination of the more rigid design and a soft design. So it's got a little more rigidity than the original Vive straps, but it's more flexible than the Rift. So it kind of sits in between, which is pretty cool. The other thing I can say about this is it is freaking light. Extremely light. I don't know, since it's not a room scale HMD, I don't know if that matters quite as much. I'm not going to be moving quite as much with it, I suspect. But it's notable. Something to be aware of. And here's the other thing. That is the entire cable. I hold it up in the air right now. I'm 5'10", I'm reaching up as high as I can, and that's what's on the floor. Whereas with the Vive and the Rift, I've got these things, oh here, let me show you. So this is my Rift cable. I'm trying not to show you this mess of mad laboratory I have. So this right here, this right here is waist height. These tables are really, really tall. And this is what I did. Yeah, my office is built into my garage. So I've got this line, a taut line, run all the way across. Little pulleys. These are, it's like a wrapping wire I got from Ace. So it's coated metal. So it's kind of rigid, but you can twist it. And it stays real nicely. And then what you see strung across in black there are actually black kind of rubber bands. They're trash can bag holders I cut. I use some CA glue to glue tips of a couple together at each point to make them longer. The rings are to weight them, and the reason for all this is to keep everything from getting tangled. The mechanism pulls back, and then when I'm using it, you can see it stretches and comes back. So I get a lot of mobility with this design, with my cable following me, coming down from above. But this is how long the cables are. It's all the way up to the ceiling, and let me show you where my Vive is sitting. And that's where my Vive is sitting. So this cable, I don't know how long the Vive cable is. I'm guessing that thing's probably 14, 15 feet. This cable would scarcely reach up to for the Fove would scarcely reach up to the floor. So this thing is not only not room scale, you're not even going to want to spin around too much at the desk, or you're going to get wrapped up really quickly. I think the takeaway here is this is very much a dev kit. But yeah, I don't know. I'm underwhelmed, and worse still, there's no OpenVR support for it yet, so I can't just fire it up and try it as a standard HMD. And I don't even know if they've got any apps for me to download. The SDK is there. They've got a sample Unity project and Unity plugin. Yay. Definitely going to be playing with that. So yay, Fove, for having the Unity plugins for us. So I'll see if I can do a follow-up review after I've had a chance to actually play with it on the computer.